So, all right. And how do you pronounce your last name, John?
D'Ambrosio.
D'Ambrosio?
Yep.
All right. And I'm going to call you Dr. John.
That's fine.
Okay, great. So, all right. Ready, set, go. Hello, everyone. This is Simone Mitchens from SimoneMitchens.com. I'm the creator of the Profit Power Up system, where we help clients, practitioners, to build their practice and take their business to the next level, and most of all, put their expertise in front of the right people. Today, I have an amazing guest, Dr. John D'Ambrosio, and he is a chiropractor. We're going to be talking about two of my favorite topics today. One is health, and the second one is business. So, Dr. Ambrosio, I wanted to welcome to our interview today.
Thank you.
Share with us a little bit about what inspired you to become a chiropractor and open your practice.
Okay, well, I've been a chiropractor for 25 years now. And the way I started into chiropractic is different than most people do. A lot of chiropractors get into chiropractic because of an injury or something like that. And my story is a little different. When I was 13 years old, my mother gave birth to my little sister. And she was, because there was such a big gap between me and her and my other two brothers, we helped take care of her. We helped raise her. So, we felt like parents, even though, my parents did most of the raising. It was a big deal for us. So when my sister was about 4 years old, she started to get these breathing problems and skin problems. And, it obviously concerned my parents. It concerned us. So they took her to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician said it was probably some sort of an allergy. So he recommended that they wash the walls of her room down with bleach, which is what they did, and it worked. She was breathing better, and this lasted for about a month. And then it started up again. So they went back, and he said, well, you just have to continue doing that. So they washed the walls down again, and this time it lasted for 3 weeks. And then they wash it down again. Every time they do it, there'd be less and less time she'd be doing good, till it was almost every day they were washing the walls down, which was obviously the house smelled. It was very stressful, and she just was not responding at that point. So my mom had been going to a chiropractor for sciatic. She had back pain. And he had noticed, he said, what's going on? You seem really stressed. So she explained the situation. He said, well, why don't you bring your daughter in? I'll see if there's any nerve interference there. And if there is, we'll remove it and see what happens. So my mom thought, what have I got to lose? So she brought my sister in, and my sister started getting adjusted. And within a month, she was fine. Her allergies cleared up. Her skin cleared up. Everything was great. And that inspired me to say, if he could help her this way, this is what I want to do for other people.
Fantastic. Phenomenal story. And let me just say that if a doctor or anybody washes the walls in my house with bleach, I would just die.
Again, this was 30-something years ago, so
I would just die. Even today, I cannot have any air freshener sprayed close to me or have the plug-ins.
Okay. Perfumes, I guess the same thing?
Perfumes, I only can have, wear two, and very selective, and put in the back of my, on my neck, all the way in the back, and I'm highly allergic to different smells and scents. So, yes, that would have just killed me. And I can imagine your mother's helplessness in taking her to the doctor and not getting any better.
Right.
Or getting better, having a little
temporarily.
Hole, and then taking away from her. And I've seen this also with my nephew. And that's one of the reasons why I like chiropractic so much. I was fortunate to find out about chiropractic when I was 5 months pregnant. And my sister was having a lot of problems with my nephew. He was 2.5. He had the typical surgeries of adenoids removal, tonsil removal, and he was always sick, always taking antibiotics. And I couldn't understand that because I'm the oldest of three. And I saw my mom, and I saw my sisters, I saw my cousins, and we never had this experience of having the kids or being sick so often. And even after he had the surgeries, he was not feeling any better. And I was, like I said, lucky to end up at a chiropractor's office when I was 5 months pregnant. And I started getting adjusted ever since. My
Great.
sister started bringing her son, and it was the same experience as with your sister. He started getting better as soon after he started getting adjusted. And my daughter was adjusted for the first time when she was 4 days old.
That's great.
Yes. And luckily, when she was getting adjusted, the chiropractor did a little test, and she turned her head to one side but not the other.
Okay.
And after the adjustment, he did the same test, and she turned her head both sides.
Beautiful.
And, right there, I'm like, you cannot make this up. Yeah, it's so fascinating to me, and I'm big in preventive health.
Mm-hmm.
Chiropractic helps you to accomplish that. I prefer to spend my days or invest my time, money, and effort in going to a chiropractic office and getting adjusted than spending at a doctor's office, with my child sick.
Right.
Basically, the two methodologies I use to help help me to keep my daughter healthy, it was nutrition
Mm-hmm.
and chiropractic. Now, to be honest, nutrition is at this point is a little out of hand. It's hard to, I tried to teach her, but at this point it's a little bit hard because she makes her own decisions and she wants to eat whatever she wants to eat. But
Right.
I make sure she gets adjusted at least every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about your practice. What have you helped your clients, your patients with? What do they come to you? I know chiropractic, I thought was just for back pain, honestly.
Right. And that's what a lot of people think.
Right. When I first went to the office was because my husband had injured his leg playing softball. And when I go in the office, I see this picture of a pregnant woman, and I'm thinking, I thought this was just for back pain. So I know chiropractic can help people with a lot of things. So tell us a little bit of the reasons why people come to you.
Okay, well, first let's start out with a simple explanation of why chiropractic works, what it actually is, compared to like what you had said, where people think it's just for, a pain or something like that.
Perfect.
So very simply, you have your spine, and on top of the spine sits the brain, and there's 24 movable segments in between there. So this is how you normally function. Your brain sends signals down the spine, and it goes to your body, and it tells your body what to do, and then there's feedback. So the body, say you're eating food, your body needs to then produce, say, hydrochloric acid to digest the food. So the signals go back up to the brain and says, there's food in here. The brain says, okay, stomach starts secreting the right amount of acid. And it goes on for every single thing that happens. Your liver function, gallbladder, everything, your muscles, depends on this communication. Now, if within these 24 movable segments, there's tension in the system, it starts to distort the signal and the body begins to break down. So then the signals from the brain down to the body and the body to the brain, the feedback is distorted. So the body does not function the way it's supposed to function. So what a chiropractor does is they look for the distortions in the system, the subluxations, they remove them, and the communication is open and the body functions the way it's supposed to again. And it's a very simple concept, and it has nothing to do with pain. It's really about how your body functions.
Right. So let's say a few signs that our body, our spine is not aligned would be migraines.
Right. There could be actually no signs at all. You wouldn't know it, just like you wouldn't know what your blood pressure is. If I asked you right now and said, well, what's your blood pressure? You would have to take it.
Right.
You have to go to a chiropractor to get checked to see if there is nerve interference. And then if there is, there could be, again, no symptoms that you actually notice, but it could be altering function of things that you're not even noticing yet. Again, it could be altering the function of your breathing, and you're not noticing it. It's not at the point where you're having labored breathing or having allergies, but it's on that very low level, and you want to catch that before it gets to a higher level. But it could be migraines. It could be, back pain. It could be, I've helped people, and again, I don't have a specific fertility adjustment, but people have come to me after being, diagnosed with infertility, and they were able to get pregnant. I've had people with very bad digestive issues or menstrual issues, and things clear up. Again, simple things like headaches, not simple, but very common people associate that with. It runs across the board, any type of health issue. Again, I'm not doing any of the healing, but I'm finding the interference, and there's no fertility adjustment, no headache adjustment. It's where the interference is. I find it, help the body remove it, and then the body does what it needs to do. So it's amazing.
I know, it's fascinating. I love science. My background is in holistic health counseling. So it's always fascinating how two tiny microscopic cells come together and know exactly what to do to make the bones, tissue, to make your face, your eyes, your hair, every part of your body, and build a whole perfect human being.
Exactly. And that intelligence never leaves the body. It's always there. It's running the body, and it just needs to work without interference.
Right. So I think a lot of times people forget that. And then once the baby's born, it's almost like all that intelligence just is out of the window. Like, what happened to it? Right? It doesn't, it only works when the baby's in the womb. After it comes out, where is it?
Right.
So, I like the fact that, yes, it's sometimes we don't even know that we have things going on, but it's good to check. And sometimes if it gets a little, advanced, we still can take care of it and help our body, support our body to heal itself.
Definitely.
By adjusting and aligning our spine and supporting our nervous system. And I know it must be I know when I was in health and wellness, it was so gratifying to see people coming through the door when they were not feeling well and then transforming their health. That must be very gratifying to you.
It is. It's great. And especially, I love working with everybody. I have some patients who have autism, and it's great the way they respond, because they a lot of them are nonverbal, but you could see they get off the table and their demeanor changes. They're smiling, they're relaxed, where before they've had issues where they're very tense, and they have a lot of things going on, and just to see the changes there, and it's beautiful.
Right. It makes me wonder what would have happened if my daughter wasn't adjusted when she was 4 days old and she was only moving her head to one side.
Right.
It really makes me wonder what kind of problems she could have had. And another thing, one of the things I wanted to ask you too is, as a business owner, as a practice, running a practice, what are some of the things that you struggled with or you had a challenge in the beginning of building a practice? Because this is about business, passion, and story. We have a passion, and then you go and you study, you become an expert in your area, and now you have your diploma. I don't know if this happened to you, but it happened to me. I had my certification in my hand, and I thought oh, now everybody's just going to flock towards me and knock on the door and say, Simone, please, work with me. That didn't happen. I did really have to introduce people to what I was doing and spread the word about what I was doing in order to get that going. So what for you, when you first started, you haven't been in practice for 25 years.
Right.
And so what was your first challenges or struggles in the beginning of your practice in your
Okay, my biggest struggle actually came later, but in the beginning, it definitely was business, because we weren't really taught that in school. I don't know if it's really changed. Now they have a lot of groups that are excellent at teaching you the business skills that you don't learn at school. But it's said that you're paying all this money and you want to get out and you want to help people and you have the skill to help them, but you don't have the business sense. You're not really taught that it's a business, because it really is.
It is.
If you're not able to keep your doors open, you're not going to be able to help anybody.
Right.
And it's sad. So definitely business-wise, most chiropractors I know were lacking, unless they went in, say worked as an associate, or they had a parent or a sibling who was already in practice and they went and joined them. They really struggled. And I know a lot of people who are not in practice today because of that. So it's sad that all that talent was gone because they didn't get that very important component of school.
Right, right. I feel the same way. Although the training I had, they introduced a second year for business and marketing, and I attended that. But as soon as I graduated from health and wellness, I went out there and I spent so much money, time, and effort learning the business aspect of it in order to get the results I got. And I know that you had something unexpected happen with your hand. And I think
Yes.
it's very important for people to know, because we're going to have other practitioners watching our interview. And I really wanted for them to learn from you how you overcame a challenge and how creative you were in overcoming that challenge, and how that also set you up for the kind of chiropractic treatments and style that you deliver today.
Okay. So back in, I believe it was 2012, I try to block it out, but I think it was 2012, I was doing CrossFit. I had just won or set some state records at a powerlifting competition. I thought everything was going great. Practice was good. And the way I used to practice is I just had a bench at that point, and I would just manually adjust everybody. So I'd use both hands. I didn't have any drops or anything like that, which is traditional in chiropractic to help with the adjustment. I was at the gym and I ended up tearing my right bicep. So I thought, it was bad, but I could still use my hand, but I knew I had to get it repaired. So I went in for the surgery, had it repaired, came out, and my right hand was numb, but they said that was normal. I had a nerve block. That's just the way it goes. They said it'll take a day or two for it to wear off. Day or two came, it did not wear off. I still could not feel or move my hand. Another week went by, same thing. I went in for the follow-up visit, and I told the doctor, and he said, well, you could be residual anesthesia still. Let's see what happens. Time went by, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I wasn't getting any improvement. So they sent me for nerve conduction studies. They stuck needles into my hand and up into my shoulder and checked the signal. And the person who ran it said, well, we have good news. There's a very faint signal going to all three nerves in your hand, which means that the nerve wasn't severed. And I didn't even think it was going to be something that serious. So the nerve was damaged enough where my hand was paralyzed and I couldn't feel. So I said, well, what's the recovery like on this? And they said, we don't know. We don't know to what degree or if it will recover or how long it'll take. So at that point, I couldn't really practice because everything I needed to do, I needed both hands for. So I had to change everything about the way I practiced. So I had this I'm right hand dominant. So that hand was just really dead. It was strapped to my side. And I had to get drop tables to help me adjust that way. I got instruments. And through all this, I started researching, and I wanted to find the most effective techniques which would allow me to use just one hand. And I started finding very low force techniques, and they're extremely effective. So I barely had to really use any force at all to get huge changes, better changes than I was getting before. So now, both hands are at 100%, but I'm continuing with very, very low force. So people come into the office, and I'm not like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they come in and they're like, oh, I don't want you to touch my neck. I'm afraid you're going to break me. And I'm very specific and very gentle. It just feels like very specific light touches, and people get these amazing changes in the body because what happens is these bones are out of place causing interference, but what bones can't move by themselves. The thing that controls the bones is the muscles. So if I'm talking with these very light touches, letting the brain know what's going on, the brain then relaxes or tightens muscles that are not tight. It moves the bones back into place, and everything gets done very gently and very effectively. And it's just, I love it. I wouldn't go back to practicing any other way. And as bad as that time was, I look at it as a blessing because it really opened up the door to me to practice in a way that I probably wouldn't have done in a million years.
Right. And in every business, it's important to have your unique selling proposition. Mm-hmm. And your story helped to create, not in a so much fun way. It must have been scary.
Right.
But it helped you to be resourceful and creative and create your own style of adjustment. Definitely. And like I said, you're getting better results, and you're incorporating the muscle with the bone, and it's unique way.
Right. So talking directly to the brain, it's great.
Yes, and trust me, I have talked to many chiropractors before. I never heard of someone adjusting or having the kind of a adjustment style that you have. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you as well. And, it's also scary for some people. I'm going to get adjusted, and when they hear the bones cracking, I kind of like it. I'm not afraid, but I know some people are afraid of, a little bit uncomfortable with the sound of it.
Right.
But for me, I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling even better. I'm going to feel even better than I was feeling before. And so now, after being in practice for 25 years, what can someone who is in practice for 25 years can expect that, I know it's never going to be perfect. Working your business, it's an ongoing work and job. And what is something that people who are in practice for a while can expect that will come their way? Let's say some of the things that you are running up against right now.
You're always looking to better yourself. So whether it's technique-wise, you're always trying to make sure because after doing the same thing for a while, just like with anything, you tend to go into an auto mode, and you never want to do that with chiropractic because you really want to stay focused and make sure you don't get sloppy. So that's one of the things after being in practice for a while, people can kind of go on autopilot, and they have to just be very cognizant of that they don't. And every person, you treat them like they're your first person. You could tell them about chiropractic. You could tell, 100 times a day, but that one person coming in, this will be the first time they hear it. And you have to explain it to them with as much passion and as much intent as you would anybody else. So keeping that passion alive in the art of chiropractic, and also, keeping business. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of, with the internet now, if you did things the old way to try to build a business, it wouldn't be as effective. So you want to keep your business strategy up to date.
Absolutely. It's always changing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 10 years ago, I sent out a press release. Hold on. Oh my gosh.
I'd hand you water, but we haven't evolved that far yet with the internet.
Virtual water. See, that's why I wanted to do recorded, because I have a cold, but I'm like, I keep going. I feel fine. It's just like my throat.
So you talking all day doesn't help?
And it's funny because I say to my mom, I don't feel good. I have a cold. But then she sees me on Facebook and doing my live stuff. She's like, are you lying to me?
You just want to have lunch with me today.
You just don't want me to bother you. But yeah. And my husband, he asked me, how are you feeling? I'm like, I am dying. Walking through the door, he's like, for someone who's dying, you look pretty good. For my interview yesterday.
That's funny.
But, yes, it is funny.
And put a cup in the fish tank.
I know. Just take a straw. Take a straw. Oh my goodness. All right. So I'm going to ask the question again, then I can just edit that part.
Okay.
About what are some of the challenges people can expect when they're in practice for a while.
Okay.
Thank you, John, for hanging there with me.
You're welcome.
All right, John, Dr. John, for someone who has been in practice for a while, like you have, what are some of the things that they can expect that they're going to still be dealing with, even though they have been in practice for a while?
It's big things are you always want to evolve your art. So your technique, you want to stay on top of that. You don't want to start to get sloppy. After doing the same thing for years, you kind of go into an autopilot, and you don't want to do that. You want to look at each person fresh and be present in the moment as you're working with everybody. You also, as you're explaining chiropractic to new people, you may say it 100 times that day, but that person coming in the door, this may be the first time they hear it. So you want to be just as passionate about it and just as clear as you were with the first person, even though they're the 100th, because if you don't do a good job explaining and they walk out the door, this will affect their lives. Chiropractic is something that's life-changing. And if they miss out on that because you kind of got complacent, that's a lot to carry around. So you don't want to do that. And then, of course, business sense. You always want to be up to date on the latest business trends. Advertising, marketing today is much different than it was 10 years ago with the internet. Everything's changed.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. One of the things you said, you mentioned that it's really important to help people. And when I hear from practitioners, I don't like marketing. Marketing is not me. I tell them, well, there's a big realization we need to have here, which is we are marketers, we're business owners who do whatever we do. We do help people with their health and well-being. We help people with other things. And explaining and educating people is, I would say, 95% of the work.
Oh, absolutely. And that is marketing. I mean, if you're explaining, marketing is education.
Right. That's where I was going. And marketing is absolutely educating people so that when they come through the door, they feel confident and they feel secure, confident that they are making the correct decision for themselves. Absolutely. Like when I walked in through the door and I sat and I saw that poster of the pregnant woman.
Right.
I didn't know. I thought it was just for back pain. So a poster, not only in your office, but on your social media will help people, educate people. Yes, marketing is always evolving. Video is absolutely some of the things that we can use. Video, social media. One of the things I really like and enjoy is repurpose your marketing. Is when you're creating one thing, one piece of content, one piece of marketing, and then you're repurposing and using in different ways to help educate people about what you do. Yes. So I wanted to thank you for taking the time to come on and share your expertise with us a little bit and with the audience, and sharing about your work and how you can help people. Now, for people who are local, where can they find you?
I'm in Oradell, New Jersey.
And what is your website for people who want more information about you?
Sure. structuralchironj.com. So structural, structuralchironj.com. I know it's a mouthful.
It's structural chiro NJ.com.
Yep, from New Jersey. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much again, Dr. John.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching our interview today. Until next time, this is Simone Mitchell signing out.